Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the assassination of Dr. King, one of the foremost historians dealing with the life and times of Dr. Martin Luther King, Dr. LBaldwin from Vanderbilt University. And Dr. Baldwin, need I to try to introduce you to our audience, because you've been with us many hundreds, almost 100 times in a real sense over the many years that we've been here.
Well, it's great to be here again.
And you've talked about all kinds of great things, but what I'd like to do today is to have you to first of all give us some statements in reference to Dr. LBaldwin himself. And then later on we'll get into Dr. King and his assassination.
Well, I should begin by saying that I'm a native of Camden, Alabama. I, as a teenager, was involved in some of the demonstrations in connection with the Civil Rights Movement. I matriculated at Talladega College in Alabama, graduated in 1971, and at that point I decided to pursue seminary training at Crozer Seminary in Rochester, New York, and I pursued the PhD degree at Northwestern, receiving a PhD in American Christianity in 1980. And of course, from that point, I began a career of teaching at Worcester College in Ohio, 1981, 82, 1982, 84. I was at Colgate University in Hamilton, New York. And of course, in 1984, the fall of 1984, I came to Vanderbilt University here in Nashville, and I've been here for 29 years, teaching a range of courses in American church history and Martin Luther King Jr., Southern religion and culture, evangelical Christianity, a whole range of courses in the church history field.
And Dr. Baldwin, we can only say that there is no doubt in anybody's mind that you are indeed the foremost historian dealing with Dr. Martin Luther King. I mean, you have spent more time dealing with Dr. King, and you've even sort of lived vicariously your life through Dr. Martin Luther King, going to his institutions, finishing at his institution, and finally coming out. And so that's why, and we've talked about the assassination of Dr. King on many occasions, but I think that you have the latest information, and so what we're going to do when we start this discussion in reference to it, we want you to think about all of those things that you know about Dr. Martin Luther King, because I think you've been with us. As a matter of fact, you started with us dealing with Dr. Martin Luther King almost after James Earl Ray was captured. To say something about that over the next couple of minutes in reference to the person who assassinated King.
Well, we know that in 1968, King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. And in 1969, James Earl Ray was arrested. And at that point, the view among many scholars was that Ray was the lone assassin. You had the development of the lone assassin theory, that James Earl Ray killed Dr. King, and that he was able, with the help of segregationists, to escape and to leave the country. And of course, we know that he was ultimately arrested and convicted and received a 99-year sentence. But since that time, of course, a lot has changed. Over the last 45 years, and it's hard to believe that it's been 45 years since the assassination, a number of scholars have promoted what we call the conspiracy theory. That is, Dr. King's was a victim of a vast conspiracy, murder conspiracy, involving the federal government, involving forces from organized crime, and even the American military establishment. So we've seen over the years a shift from this lone assassin theory, James Earl Ray acted alone, to this conspiracy theory that Dr. King's death resulted from a conspiracy.
Very good, and of course we've got about a minute before this segment ends, and so overall, what you will bring us during the second and third segment will be information relative to Dr. King and some of the other, as a matter of fact, why don't you say something over the last 40 seconds about the many books. How many books have you actually written?
Well, I've written 5 books on Dr. King, and I'm the co-editor of 2, and I'm the editor of 2. So I've been involved with 9 books on Dr. King, and we have 2 coming out this summer. 2 co-edited volumes, and I can talk about that when I talk about the legacy of Dr. King.
Very good. And so what we want to do is to take this first commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll give you an opportunity to get into some discussion in reference to it. And I'm anticipating this too, even though I've been here every time that you brought that information, but I'm anticipating, and we hope to be able to do that. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. The second segment of the show for today